After getting platinum in Elden Ring, I had to ask myself, is Dark Souls 3 still as hard as I remember? So after 6 long years, I went back to find out. Hey everyone, I am the Bonfire Keeper and welcome to the channel.
I played Dark Souls 3 back in 2019, right after finishing Dark Souls 1. And I absolutely loved Dark Souls 1, so I was excited to play this game as well. But coming from 1 to 3 felt completely different. Dark Souls 3 felt very fast paced compared to 1, and I could feel the difficulty spike immediately when I was even having issues with Gundyr, basically the tutorial boss of the game. I was still very new to gaming back then, and I had absolutely no idea how to manage my stamina properly with the bosses moving 3 times faster than 1, and the game absolutely ripped me in every step I took. Since then I have gained a lot more experience, and I wanted to find out how I would fare against these challenges now that 6 years have passed and I have also platinumed Elden Ring. As I was watching the iconic opening cutscene, the first thing that came to my mind was the boss that gave me the most trouble last time. It was a nameless king, Friday or Gale. It was Aldrich. Yes, Aldrich was the boss that made me almost quit the game. I know Aldrich is nowhere near as hard as the others, but for some reason I had a lot of trouble beating him, and I had to cheese him to finally progress. But is it going to be any different that I will be able to beat him in one go now that I have mastered the craft of Souls games in the last few years? At least that's what I think.
Or get stuck again? That was my biggest question.
I chose to go with Warrior because strength builds will always be number one for me, and after beating the big crystal lizard that hits like a truck, I went to face Gundyr, and he felt really easy this time around because I could easily read his moves, giving me hope that I was going to do a lot better this time. After reaching Firelink Shrine and leveling up, I went to try the tree skip on the top. Basically lets you access a portion of the top area early, giving you access to the trading bars, upgrade materials and such, giving you a little boost early on.
After a couple of tries, I did manage to do it, but before I could collect the items there, I forgot that I was playing on a PlayStation controller, and Dark Souls 3 being an old game doesn't show the correct controls.
So I missed an input and failed to my death. So I decided to leave it alone for now as the tree skip was a pain in the ass to do and moved forward. Since it's been so long since I last played the game, I kinda forgot that some of these enemies can turn into these black goop monsters.
And got jump scared and almost had a heart attack from one of them.
As I was progressing and came to the first intimidating room for early levels with tons of enemies, I realized the biggest thing I was missing from Elden Ring, the jump button.
Just one simple button press can change gameplay so much.
Out of all the quality of life changes in Elden Ring, I think the jump button easily takes the top place.
Anyway, after talking to the old lady, it was finally time for the proper first boss of the game, the big fat dog.
I entered the fight with overconfidence and an unupgraded weapon,
Despite having enough titanite shards, and got demolished by him.
but on the second try I gave him proper respect.
Dodged his attacks, and turned out this fight is not hard when you don't just spam R1.
Before moving forward, I quickly went back to save my boy Grey Rat because he is the nicest little thief in all of Lot 3.
As I was moving forward, I got invaded by Aldrich and got destroyed because apparently he is a parry god and kept parrying me.
Instead of trying again, I decided to leave him alone for now and actually upgrade my weapon first.
So I went ahead and made the best NPC in the Soul series in my opinion, the Onion Bro.
I think Onion Bro is one of the rare cases of an NPC with absolutely zero haters.
After helping him beat the fire demon, I got my first proper weapon for this run, the big bonk stick.
Who needs a fancy weapon when you can beat up literal gods with a large wooden stick? So I quickly upgraded it and tried it on my first victim Aldrich and absolutely wrecked his ass. Then I had to face the worst boss in the game, the tree with the weird mushrooms on it. He is the worst not because he is hard, but his fight is just so boring and his hitboxes are also weird. It's just a not fun gimmick fight, but I did get him first try and moved towards the road of sacrifice. Here I got the butcher knife and I considered switching weapons since it starts with an A scaling in strength,
But decided against it. It's more fun to break the guards of enemies anyway.
so I heavy infused my club and went to face the crystal sage. The last time I faced him, I was running a Dex Int build, and while I wasn't stuck there, I still had trouble beating him. My build was mainly spell focused, and I was barely doing any damage. But this time I was absolutely hitting him like a truck. He had no chance against the might of the bonk stick. I also had some trouble beating the giant crabs last time.
Because how barely they flinch when you hit them, but they also fell victim to my large club. I went back to Firelink Shrine because I completely forgot about the naked samurai man on top and pancaked his ass before moving forward. Then I found Gale, who in a totally not suspicious,
Not creepy way, handed me a dirty piece of cloth.
and I got zapped into the DLC.
I got the first bonfire and absolutely noped out of there. There was no way I was even going to wander around there at my level. I continued and opened all the shortcuts and went up the cathedral, where I died an embarrassing amount of times because if there's one thing I'm bad at, it's platforming. After all the dates, I finally reached the weird bug lady and joined her cult. When I went to find Patches, he wasn't there. I don't know if I did anything wrong, but I absolutely remember him being in the cathedral last time. It has been 6 years, so I forgot a lot of the quests. So, if any of you know why he wasn't there, please let me know in the comments.
Anyway, the Deacon's fight was laughably easy and I used the souls I got from them to buy the tower key and Patches finally showed up in the filing shrine.
So my next move was to buy Onion Bros armor from him, but I was out of souls. So instead of doing the normal thing and farming for it, I went ahead and triggered the dancer fight. I felt like I was having an easier time and wanted a challenge, and I absolutely got what I wanted. I got wrecked by her multiple times. It wasn't that I wasn't doing enough damage. I was. I just had low health and I was getting two-shotted by her. While the dancer is usually easy, fighting her this early was a little trickier. But I was also having fun fighting a mid-game level boss early on, and I eventually got her too. Now when I was fighting the dancer, one other thing I started missing from Elden Ring
Was the posture break. With how hard I was hitting her, if it was an Elden Ring boss, her posture would have broken very soon, making the fight much shorter.
Now, this is not to say that Elden Ring bosses are easier than Dark Souls. They make up for the posture break with much variety of moves and a lot of health. Having the posture break makes strength playthroughs much more fun because you can feel the impact of your hits.
But you can see that they are already experimenting with the concept of the posture break, with it being present with the crabs, the crocodile dogs, and the spider outside of Aldrich's boss room.
So it makes much more sense of this mechanic being present in Elden Ring.
Now, with my abundance of souls from the dancer, I leveled up and got all the armor for Onion Bro and freed him from the depth of the well. On my way to the Farron Keep, I got my probably final weapon for this run, even bigger bonk stick than I already have, a great club. The hits from this weapon just feel so satisfying.
I quickly collected all the upgrade materials for the stick and went and fought the tutorial boss of Dark Souls 1, the Stray Demon.
Who is just a common enemy in this game for some reason. After upgrading my great club, I went to face the coolest boss in the game, the Artorias fanboy club, the Abyss Watchers.
Now I remember the first time I experienced this fight, I was in complete awe.
The cutscene as soon as you enter of them just fighting each other, then as the fight goes a surprise
Third Watcher joining you.
the music, and then the second phase starts and one of the watchers just transforms into this fire type and starts doing Artorias' move from Dark Souls 1. It just gives you chills. It's just
As everyone says these days, absolute cinema. But only downside of this boss fight is that it's just too easy.
if this fight was a little harder, it would definitely get into the
All-time great boss fight lists. As I continued through the catacombs, I got my first real player invasion of this run.
This guy invaded me and tried to
Ganked me with the skeletons. Unfortunately, he was also no match against the bonk stick.
and after running away for a few minutes, he eventually died.
It's really cool how many people still play the online side of this game after so many years. I beat Volnir, who's just a joke of a boss. He's basically pinwheel of this game.
I reached the big bone worm under Volnir and remember reading a theory that how this worm is actually solar. I know this is not true, but it's still kinda scary to think about.
I let the police the key lead and went ahead to get a possible replacement for my bonk stick. A few multi grades though. I said possible
Because it requires 50 strength, and even if I two-hand it, I still need 40, which is a big commitment and basically endgame, so I don't know if it's even worth changing weapons that late, but we'll see.
Anyway, after finishing the catacombs by beating up an old man who can barely walk properly,
And continue towards 8th Hill.
so far I was doing much better than my first time 6 years ago. I barely struggled with bosses except Dancer for a minute. I was properly exploring and finding things I missed last time. I wasn't afraid to take fights and I was enjoying a lot more since I actually knew what I was doing. On my first run I was very confused on where to go all the time. But playing an open world Souls game as big as Elden Ring
Has helped me a lot navigating the more linear world of Dark Souls 3 this time.
I continued towards 8th Hill, fought the weird big crocodile dog on the bridge, and made my way down and met up with Onion Bro again.
And open all the shortcuts to Pontiff.
As I was fighting Pontiff, first thing that came to my mind was
How similar this fight is to my favorite Elden Ring DLC boss.
Relana.
I love how flowy the combat in Relana fight is, and it's pretty clear how much of an inspiration Pontiff was for her design.
After beating Pontiff, I was progressing through the Afield Dungeon and I got my second real player invasion. I did hit him first by instinct, but he didn't attack me. Turns out he was there to guide me through the Afield Dungeon.
He guided me through the dungeon and helped me open a shortcut and then left. Afield Dungeon is really confusing, so I was glad for the help. I love that the Souls game have such a nice community that even after so many years of this game being out, people still take time to help new players out. But after that, I made the biggest mistake of this run that I almost wanted to start over. I freed Onion Bro one last time and went to face the Orm. Onion Bro joined me and I quickly grabbed the Storm Ruler, but since it has been so long, I completely forgot how to use the weapon. And instead of holding down the L2, I was letting it go, so nothing was happening, and Onion Bro paid the price.
Yom killed him. I absolutely felt horrible that I let down Onion Bro after coming to the end of his quest line.
I wanted to quit playing, but I googled how to use it properly, and with a heavy heart I carried on his mission
To free his friend.
and beat you on. Rest in peace, Onion Bro, I will always remember you. Anyway, it was now time to make my way to the boss that gave me the most trouble last time.
It was finally time for Aldrich. On my way to him, I quickly beat the two crocodile dogs.
And got another reminder why I love strength so much with the silver knives.
Normally they are kinda hard and resilient to attack.
But when you hit like a truck that their guards break left and right, they stand no chance. I found another sad sight of the dead body of the gentle giant blacksmith from Dark Souls 1. I beat the disgusting spider and was finally ready to face Aldrich. Before entering his room, I felt a little nervous remembering my last time, so for the first time on this run I applied buff on my weapon. I put on some fire on my wooden stick and I entered his room, and I demolished him. I hit him so hard that every single hit was taking away chunks of his health bar.
The last time, the move that gave me the most trouble was the arrow rain move.
But he couldn't even do it this time because I beat him so fast. I beat him on my first try and I felt incredibly satisfied remembering the tears he gave me last time. After beating him to a pulp, I got transferred to the dancer's room, but since I already beat her way early, the only thing to do now was to move forward.
So I started this run to test how far I have come since I last played the game, and I was happy with my results. I wanted to face Aldrich again after honing my skills in Elden Ring. He felt really easy this time. And I could barely remember why I struggled with him so much before. I'm having so much fun playing through the game after so many years, and it's surprising how well this game still holds up to modern standards. It's also nice to see that this game still has such a large number of online player base active, and everyone just didn't move to Elden Ring because it's the new one. Only thing that came to my mind was that Dark Souls 3 early bosses aren't as memorable as Elden Ring early bosses. It could be recency bias, but our main campaign early bosses of Elden Ring like Margit or Godric are a lot more memorable than the big dog or the weird tree. But I think Dark Souls 3 has a charm to its gameplay that makes this game so much special and so much fun to play through after many years.
Nice.
My goal in this run was to test Aldrich and I was happy with my result, but I'm definitely going to continue this run and test how my bonk stick would do against Midi, Nameless King or Gale. But I would love to know if you all had any bosses like Aldrich for me that gave you the most trouble for your first playthrough, and if you do, let me know in the comments. I love Souls games and Souls-like games, and I want more and more people to play these games in Indian gaming community, as they're still not very popular here. As I'm still new to YouTube, please subscribe to this channel and let us create a Souls community in India together. And thank you, and I'll see you the next time.